going to start today with a promise. And honestly, we sift through so much material productivity hacks, life optimization, skill acquisition,
No, all of it.
and my skepticism radar is, it's usually pretty high. But today, we're looking at a promise that actually stopped me in my track.
It's a bold one. I had to read it twice.
It is massive.
Yep.
The source material claims you can completely transform your English speaking ability. And I'm quoting here, make the English problem go away forever.
Forever, yeah.
Not get a little better,
Yeah.
not learn some new vocab, but actually cure the insecurity.
And forever is the word that usually makes me just, roll my eyes. In language learning, we're so used to fluent in 3 months or master business English. But this source, it's framing it differently. They're not selling a course. They're proposing a total lifestyle shift.
Exactly. This is the 100 Days of English project.
Yeah.
And what grabbed me immediately is how they frame the problem itself. Most people treat learning English like a marathon that never ends.
Right. You just run and run until you die.
Yeah. Or like a chronic condition you just have to live with.
Yeah.
Oh, my English isn't good. It's just how I am.
Mm-hmm.
This source just flits that. It says, stop treating it like a state of being. Treat it like a sprint. A specific time-bound project with a start line and a finish line.
Okay, but here's the part where the math gets interesting.
Yeah, walk us through this, because when I first read the requirements, I thought I'd misread them.
Yeah.
It seemed, too low to be effective.
Yeah, I actually grabbed my calculator for this, too.
You too.
I did. The requirement is 10 minutes a day. That's it.
Just 10 minutes.
You do this for 100 days. So, if you break that down, 10 minutes times 100 days is 1,000 minutes.
Which puts the total time investment at
About 16 or 17 hours total.
To cure a lifelong insecurity.
Yeah.
See, that's where you lose me initially. If I told you that you could master the violin or become a pro coder in 17 hours, you'd laugh me out of the room.
Of course.
So why is this different? Why should we believe 17 hours is enough?
Well, it's a valid pushback. I mean, if you just sat there and read a dictionary for 17 hours, nothing would happen. But the source argues that language isn't about knowledge accumulation at this stage.
Okay.
It's about anxiety reduction. It's not about the hours. It's about the intensity and the really specific rules of engagement. It's exposure therapy, basically.
So let's unpack this mission. Because if we're going to trust that 17 hours is enough, we need to understand the constraints. This isn't just chatting. There are strict rules.
Very strict. And if you break them, the whole system breaks.
Okay, rule number 1, the time limit. Exactly 10 minutes. Why cap it? Why not say at least 10 minutes?
Because of the psychological barrier to entry. I mean, we've all been there. You plan to study for an hour, but you're tired. You had a long day at work.
So you do 0.
You do 0. The source makes a great point here. 10 minutes is nothing. It's less than half a sitcom episode. It's shorter than the time you spend scrolling in the morning.
So it completely removes the I don't have time excuse.
Totally. It's low enough that saying no to it just feels ridiculous. You can't really justify skipping it.
Okay, but rule number 2. I feel like this is where people drop out. This is the real human clause.
Oh, for sure.
The source is adamant about this. You cannot speak to an AI. You cannot talk to a language app's bot.
And the big one.
And this is the big one for me. You cannot practice in the mirror.
Which goes against so much traditional advice. Watch your mouth, check your pronunciation in the mirror. But the source argues the mirror is just a trap.
Why? I mean, what's so wrong with the mirror?
Well, think about why people freeze up in English. It's usually not because they don't know the word for table or report.
Right.
It's because they are terrified of judgment. And a mirror doesn't judge you. An AI doesn't get confused or look at you weirdly if you use the wrong tense.
So the mirror is a safe space, and this safe space is actually the problem.
Precisely. The English problem is really a social anxiety problem disguised as a language issue. You need that little spike of adrenaline. You need the fear of the pause. You need to see a real human answer.
So that discomfort is the practice.
It is. If you aren't feeling that little twinge of panic, you aren't doing the exercise right.
So if you're comfortable, you're just rehearsing. You're not performing.
Exactly. You have to simulate the pressure of the conference room.
Okay, so 10 minutes, real human being, and then rule number 3, no gaps.
The streak, 100 consecutive days. You cannot do Monday, skip Tuesday, and then try to do 20 minutes on Wednesday. It doesn't work.
This brings us to the biggest enemy of any new habit, right? Motivation. You start strong. Day 1 is great. Day 4 is okay. By day 10, we're just tired.
The source has this brilliant line, "We are prisoners to motivation."
I highlighted that too.
Yeah.
It's such a distinct way to put it.
It's so true, though, isn't it? We treat motivation like this fuel that we need before we can even drive the car. I don't feel like it, so I can't do it.
Yeah.
The source argues that motivation is, well, it's garbage. It's fleeting. It will leave you by day 7.
So what replaces it? If we can't rely on wanting to do it, what do we rely on?
Discipline. Pure, boring discipline. The source introduces this thing called the 100-day tracker. And I love how analog this is. It's not some gamified app with badges.
No, it's a Boolean system.
Yeah.
True or false.
Exactly. Did I do my 10 minutes? Yes or no? You stop asking, do I want to do this? And you start asking, is the box checked?
It shifts your identity.
Yeah.
You aren't someone trying to learn English. You're someone who completes the daily task.
And once you have a chain, 10 days, 20 days, you become protective of it. You'll do the 10 minutes at 11:50 p.m. just to save the streak. That's the discipline kicking in.
You stop making decisions and you just start following the rules.
You do.
Okay, so we have the framework. But now we have to deal with reality. And the reality for a lot of listeners, and frankly, for me, if I were doing this in a second language, is the social awkwardness.
The who on earth do I talk to problem.
Right. I can't just walk up to a stranger at a bus stop and say, "Hi, can you listen to me struggle through a conversation for 600 seconds?"
You could, but you might get arrested. Or at least some very weird looks.
Exactly. So let's look at the solutions the source provides. They break it down into tech solutions and social solutions.
On the tech side, the source acknowledges that, not everyone has a global network, so they list specific apps. Invarta and Ace Fluency are mentioned for connecting with other learners.
Though they do add that little disclaimer on Ace Fluency about the free talk time, it might be limited, so you got to check that.
Right. And then there are the paid giants like Cambly, where you're hiring a tutor just to chat. And the source even mentions their own WhatsApp tool. The point is, in 2026, I can't find a partner is not a valid excuse.
The internet solved that.
It did.
But I want to focus on the social solution, because this requires a bit more courage, but I think the payoff is higher.
This is where you ask people you actually know.
Friends, family, colleagues.
But that's the awkward part. Imagine asking your cousin, "Hey, can we speak English?" When you've spoken your native language your whole life. It feels, I don't know, pretentious.
It feels fake. It feels like you're trying to be someone you're not. But the source gives you a kind of social hack here.
Okay.
You don't just start speaking English. You frame it as a favor.
How does that work?
You say, "Hey, I'm doing a 100-day challenge. It's a project. I need your help to complete it."
Ah, I see. So you aren't trying to be fancy, you're completing a mission.
Exactly. It changes the dynamic completely. People love to help. If you say, "I'm under a strict deadline for this challenge," your cousin isn't judging your accent. They are helping you get your check mark for the day.
They become your ally.
They become your ally.
Yeah.
That is a massive psychological shift. It outsources the accountability. And it turns the awkwardness into a game. Like, "Oh, is the time for your 10 minutes? Let's go." It creates a shared ritual. Okay, so you found the partner. Maybe it's the cousin, maybe it's the stranger on Invarta. You connect, the clock starts, and then just silence.
The blank mind syndrome.
This is my nightmare. You have the time, you have the person, but you have absolutely nothing to say.
And that silence feels like it lasts an hour. This is where the source provides a tool that I actually think is useful for anyone, not just language learners.
The A to Z mnemonic.
Yes.
So before we dive into the list, let's just clarify for anyone who hasn't been in a classroom in a while, what exactly is a mnemonic?
It's just a memory device, a way to chunk information so your brain can retrieve it under stress. The source uses that classic planetary example. My very educated mother just showed us 9 planets.
MVEM.
Yeah.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars.
Right. So here, the mnemonic is just the alphabet, A through Z. Each letter is a trigger for a conversation topic. You never have to scramble, you just go to the next letter.
Let's run through some of these, because the progression is actually quite clever. It starts superficial and gets surprisingly deep.
It really does. It follows the natural arc of a relationship.
So A to E, this is the get to know you phase.
You have A for accomplishments, B for books.
C, childhood, D, dreams, E, education. These are pretty standard interview questions, basically.
They are, but childhood is great because it forces you to practice past tense verbs, which is where a lot of people trip up.
That's a good point. Okay, then we move into F through J, which feels a bit more about, like, preferences in work.
Yep. F is food, always a winner. Everyone eats. G for goals, H for hobbies.
And then I for inspiration. That's a bit heavier.
It is. Asking who inspires you forces you to use different vocabulary than I like pizza. You have to describe qualities, values, abstract concepts. And J is Job, of course.
Then we hit K through O. This felt like the observation block to me.
It is. K is knowledge. What did you learn recently? L is life experiences like vacations. M is music. N is news.
And O?
O is outdoors.
That one stuck out to me. Why specifically outdoors? Seems a bit random.
I thought so too, but the source explains this well. Talking about the outdoors, a new tree, a road being built, the sunset, it forces you to be descriptive. You have to use adjectives and spatial language. The tree is next to the tall building. It exercises a different part of the brain than just talking about your feelings. It grounds you in the physical world.
That's interesting. Okay, P through T. We're getting social now.
P for pets. Q for questions, which is a great out. Just ask the other person something.
Good one.
R for relationships. S for sports.
And I know you aren't a sports fan, but the source makes a point here. It's a survival skill.
It is the universal lubricant of small talk. Even if you hate sports, you need to be able to say, did you see the match?
It's just necessary.
It is. And T is travel.
Okay, now U through Z. This is the advanced or maybe abstract section. This is where it gets fun.
U is for unique talents.
The source had a great pop culture reference here.
They mentioned Ananya Pandy. And the distinction between having a talent and having the communication skills to explain that talent, it's a subtle dig, but a good example.
Yeah.
Can you explain what makes you special without sounding arrogant? That's a very nuanced language skill.
Okay, V is values. That's deep water.
Very deep. W is weather, the classic fallback. X is XX factor, what makes you stand out. Y is year in review.
Zodiac Signs.
I feel like that one is going to be polarizing.
It always is, but that's why it works. People have opinions about zodiac signs. Oh, you're a Leo. That explains so much. It generates flow.
So the takeaway here isn't to memorize this list like a robot. You don't have to carry a laminated card around.
Yo, God, no.
Yeah.
It's a safety net. If you're on day 45 and you're staring at your partner and your brain just freezes, you think, okay, we did hobbies, I, inspiration, who inspires me? Boom, you're talking again. It kills the silence.
So we have the rules, 10 minutes, real human, no gaps. We have the topics. But I want to zoom out to the why. Why does this specific combination of things actually work? We have to go back to that phrase you mentioned, comfort and discomfort.
Right.
The goal of the 100 days isn't to turn you into a dictionary. It's to desensitize your amygdala, the fear center of your brain.
The source talks about the conference room scenario.
Yes. Picture it. You're in a meeting. You have a great idea, but you have to say it in English. And your heart starts racing. Your palms sweat. You think, what if I mess up the grammar?
To stay silent?
And the opportunity passes. The English problem wasn't that you couldn't form the sentence. It was that the threat response shut you down. By doing this for 100 days, facing a human, feeling that pressure, and surviving it, you are literally rewiring that response.
You're teaching your brain. Speaking English is not a threat. I did it yesterday. I did it the day before. I'm safe.
Correct. It creates what the source calls a confidence curve. They promise that the difference between day 1 and day 10 is massive.
10 days.
It takes about a week for the panic to subside. You aren't fluent yet, but you aren't terrified anymore. And once that fear is gone, the actual learning accelerates because your brain is finally open to input.
So it's almost like the first 10 days are just clearing the fog so you can actually see the road.
And the remaining 90 days are just cementing the habit.
It really is simple when you lay it all out. But, as the source reminds us, simple is not easy.
The execution is where 99% of people fail. They'll download the app, they'll save the PDF of the AZ list, but they won't make the call on day 1.
So let's wrap this up with a clear directive for the listener.
Yeah.
If you were sitting there thinking, this is me, I have the vocabulary, but I freeze up, what is the very first step?
Step 1, just acknowledge that you have 10 minutes. Don't lie to yourself, you have the time. Step 2, find the human, text your cousin, download Invarta, whatever it is. And step 3, start the tracker today, not Monday, today.
And remember the perspective you gave us. 10 minutes is less time than you spend deciding what to watch on Netflix. The cost is so low.
And the payoff is forever. That's the trade.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought from the source that really stuck with me. It's a bit of a challenge to our ego. We all know what we want, the better job, the confidence, the fluency. We are very clear on the outcome.
But the uncomfortable question is, are you actually willing to do the boring, repetitive work to get it?
Everyone wants the result. Not everyone is willing to suffer through 100 days of awkward conversations.
It's dedicated hard work. But it's only 10 minutes. Can you sustain it?
That's the question we're leaving you with. If you've been waiting for a sign to start working on your communication skills, consider this your green light.
Day 1 starts now.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Go find your speaking partner, and we'll catch you next time.